Somebody can never fully realize how much they love you if they don't sense a slight coldness emanating from the love that you give them. In other words, you might like them, you might have a lot of emotions for them, but if it doesn't have a hint of being willing to walk away, it doesn't spark that fire that's inside of them. You gotta realize, warmth is not like fire to wood. In other words, the warmth that you give people is the material that you're gonna use to create fire. But the fire that you use to ignite the wood is not the warmth that you give them. It's actually the coldness. It's the coldness that ignites the flammable material, right? And this coldness is not hitting people, being mean, abusing them. This coldness is a mindset. You are mentally putting your hand on the trigger and being willing to fire at any moment when you sense this person doesn't appreciate you as much as you think you should, if they act non-committal and undecisive. And this putting your hand on that trigger, metaphorically, people sense it because it emanates from you. There's a strength and a coldness that is that an accented coldness that comes with the warmth that you give people, right? And the reason why this is important is this: whenever you don't give people that coldness, which is that willingness to walk away, people will suppress whatever feeling they have for you. They will suppress it, and they could potentially ruin any positive emotions they've had for you because of your unwillingness to walk away. People are not more non-committal than before, undecisive, and afraid to make mistakes. And if you let them do that, if you allow them to just to go throughout the whole relationship being undecisive, non-committal, and afraid to make mistakes, in other words, they don't tell you how much they feel because they're afraid to look needy. They don't want to look like the needy one. If people are in that mindset where they're tiptoeing and trying to make the perfect move every single time, it's because you haven't hit their nerves. You haven't really penetrated their psychology. When somebody truly is falling in love with you, they become decisive, they become committal, and they start making a bunch of mistakes. And we're going to talk about how to provoke that in people, because it's important. When you fall in love, you make all the mistakes. You make every mistake, and that's a positive sign. It's a sign that you have let go of the adult exterior and you allow yourself to be who you really are, which is who you are whenever you cannot control yourself. But a lot of people don't let people do that. A lot of people allow their egos, the other person's ego, to be in a relationship with them. In other words, they validate their ego because of your unwillingness to walk away, of your unwillingness to lose them. That their ego will be the one that's dictating their relationship, not their fragile childlike self that we all yearn to be healed through love. If that makes any sense. But when you're willing to walk away, something happens to people. Emotions that they felt for you become revealed. All of a sudden they become decisive, and the decision that people make during those moments of you leaving will indicate to them how much they love you and indicate to you how much they love you, right? So in order to do this though, you want to first understand that you can't demand people to be committal, decisive in the beginning, right? Because that puts up the psychological walls, right? Going too fast makes people defensive. So you don't want to go at you don't want to start off at full speed ahead, right? You want to create momentum. So start slowly, right? That means you tell people, you tell people what you want and stuff like that, but you don't demand that on people. You don't tell people exactly what you want, and you don't show people how determined you are for that, because it makes people defensive. All right, so that's the first thing. You first got to start off slow and observe people. And what will happen is that over time, you're going to start to reveal how you feel about them, and they're going to start to reveal how you feel about them. But what will happen is that a lot of the times, people will sense whenever you have decided that they're the one. And this sensation, people feel it as neediness and desperateness, right? That's the sensation that people feel. And what would happen is that it'll suppress any positive emotions that they may have for you. And the only time they're gonna experience those emotions, they get released whenever they sense your willingness to walk away. Right? Love is not, people don't realize they love you when you're there. People realize they love you when you're not there. When they start thinking of what would happen if life of life without you. That's how people think. You know what I'm saying? So the way to do this is very simple. In the beginning, you observe people. You date people, you observe how they are. You observe if they respect you, if they don't respect you. And when they don't respect you, you express your concern. What would happen is that it's almost like baking a cake, right? The cake is not made when you're putting the ingredients together. The cake is made when you put it in the oven and walk away. It's the same, and you close that door and you let time, and you walk away, and that's when the magic happens, right? Your presence is pretty much putting all the ingredients in the cake, and your absence is letting the heat do the dirty work for you. But when you try to mess around with it as the cake is cooking in the oven, you're gonna fuck it up. You're gonna fuck up a good cake. That they essentially just fall in love is that they realize it. That's all. They realize they love you. It's a very similar effect that death has on people, right? Whenever you are close to ending anything, the emotions that people feel for you get revealed, right? For example, you realize how much you love your friends when they're about to leave to another country. You know you're not going to see them again. You realize how much you loved school in the last day of school. You realize how much you loved a certain point of your life when it's over, right? We tend to experience a retrospective nostalgia or a pre-nostalgia when you sense that they're gonna leave, and it releases whatever's there. It's almost like reserve energy. When you feel like you're about to die, or you feel like you're in a fight or flight mode, or you know how you hear the stories of fucking moms lifting up cars, right? There's reserved emotions that we tend to have only when you feel like you have no other choice. And that's what tends to happen when you are willing to walk away. Those emotions are released. Maybe not completely because you're still there, but because they sense you're willing to walk away, it's almost like their body releases tiny bits of that emotions, and it brings into consciousness how much they feel about you. And if they love you, they'll realize they love you, or they'll think they've ended up falling in love with you. But the truth is that they actually loved you the whole time. So remember, the whole basis of this channel is to pretty much encourage you guys that a lot of the things that you guys fear when it comes to relationships are pretty unfounded. They're not going to leave you if you speak up. They're not going to leave you if you set your standards. They're not going to leave you if you leave them. You'd be surprised how counterintuitive your intuition about human nature is. Because again, like I always say, when you don't like them, they end up liking you. It's because you end up doing this a lot more often. You know, just change your perception. Too much. Don't be so sweet. You know, you're gonna give them cavities. Always have that counterbalance of coldness. And sometimes when we love people too much, we tend to forget to do this, and that's why they tend to take us for granted. But now you know. Now you know. Sometimes the secret ingredient is just to moonwalk your ass back. Let them know there are consequences for their actions, and they'll realize they actually love you. And you'll notice it through their actions. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've noticed in my life. Like, when I was younger, I wasn't willing to walk away from women that I liked because I wasn't happy. You know? Now I'm more willing to walk away because I'm happy. And you know what's crazy? The results are better. People like me more. That's just how it is. You know, you tend to have a softness about you that has a tint of strength whenever you are willing to walk away. And you just notice that the falling in love process in your dating life will just accelerate. People will just fall in love with you a little bit quicker through this. And if you don't, what would happen is that they'll love you, but they just won't respect you. And if you do that, you can't tell people you watch my channel, okay?